contemplation is at the heart of mysticism and spirituality. So what is contemplation? To begin with, I'm going to read directly from a website for the Center for Action and Contemplation, and from one of my favorite authors on mysticism and spirituality, which is Richard Rohr, who you will hear me reference often. So they say, what is contemplation? And this I love. Only the contemplative mind can bring forward the new consciousness that is needed to awaken a more loving, just, and sustainable world. They go on to say that contemplation is the practice of being fully present in heart, mind, and body to what is in a way that allows you to creatively respond and work toward what could be. For many, contemplation is prayer or meditation, a deep practice of deep listening to better connect with ourselves and to divine love. Father Richard teaches that contemplative prayer helps us to sustain the truth we encounter during moments of great love and great suffering, long after the intensity of these experiences wears off. Contemplative prayer is the way we work out the experience that words elude, how we learn from them and bravely allow ourselves to be transformed by them, even when our normal modes of thinking can't make sense of them. The contemplative mind is about receiving and being present to the moment, to the now, without judgment, analysis, or critique. Contemplative knowing is much more holistic, heart-centered knowing, where mind, heart, soul, and senses are open and receptive to the moment just as it is. This is how you come to love things in themselves and as themselves. You learn not to divide the field of the moment or eliminate anything that threatens your ego, but to hold everything, both the attractive and the unpleasant, together in one accepting gaze. In short, contemplation might be described as entering a deeper silence and letting go of our habitual thoughts, sensations, and feelings in order to continue to connect to a truth greater than ourselves. They go on to say that contemplation is a word that's not easily defined. It has ancient roots and it's continually evolving. Many practice forms of contemplation like centering prayer or focused breathing. Other expressions and cultures emphasize communal experiences like movement, music, drumming, and we may resonate with some practices more than others. These forms can include ecstatic dance, chanting, centering prayer, reading passages of text but in a contemplative way. Perhaps it's reading one or two verses and then just really sitting in the mystery. So that's a little bit from the Center for Action and Contemplation, which is one of my favorite sources in mysticism. And for me, there's this nuance, right? A lot of people ask, like, well, what's the difference then with prayer and meditation and contemplation? And it's very, very subtle. Prayer and meditation can be forms of contemplation, but in my experience, my personal experience, prayer is often a conversation with the divine. There's gratitude. Sometimes you're asking for things. It's energy out, right? Energy out to the divine, a dialogue. Meditation is quiet, perhaps breathing, going inward, inner stillness. It's energy in. Energy into the body, energy into the breath. Whereas contemplation is a beautiful beingness in between the two, where there's not energy out, there's not energy in, but there is an opening. It's about simply being in the presence of the divine without energy going out or in. It's an opening. It's a state of deep reflection and connection. Also, it can be a little different because meditation, sometimes the focus is to still the mind and have no thoughts. Contemplation can be a practice where maybe you take a verse or an emotion or a thought or an intrigue and you sit in contemplation. You might sit with, what is love? What is love? And open to the divine and just see what comes through. And again, this might be sitting, it might be movement, it might be through dance, it might be through chanting, but to be in that contemplative spirit. And one of the reasons I love contemplation, it's really at the heart of this mystic heart, because it seeks direct and personal experiences of the divine. It's, what does this mean to me? You know, when you're contemplating, what is love? You're not using as much of the mental, right? You're not going, well, in my culture, it's this, in that culture, it's that. You're really opening and saying, through my lens, through my heart, what is love? And in that way, it's more than a practice. It is just a profound way of being that allows us to immerse ourselves in the presence of the divine. It's about transcending that ordinary mind and experiencing the sacredness directly. And through this, you can begin to deepen and you can have mysteries, and it can almost feel like you're on plant medicine, because you can open in such a way that you can have these experiences. And whether you get visions or downloads, or your heart opens in a certain way, or maybe your body moves, maybe there's a lot of Kundalini energy. These things can happen when you open, when it's the opening of the energy. And it relates to, you know, what I say a lot about the feminine's faith, because it also honors the intuitive and receptive aspects of spirituality, right? So it's less about the head and more about the heart. There's inner wisdom, the space for deep reflection and connection to the divine feminine. You can find a sanctuary within yourself. So I highly, highly encourage everybody to embrace contemplation, to try it, to experience the sacred directly, beyond the words, beyond the concepts, beyond the mind. And one way to do this, so I've put together an invitation, a little bit of structure in the opening of contemplation. And it's a very simple document. It's 30 days of contemplation. It felt kind of strange, actually, to call it a challenge, because it's not as structured. It's not as masculine, right? It's a feminine invitation to try on 30 different ways of contemplation. And it's just one thing a day. Maybe one is movement, one is beauty, one is a daily reflection, a little bit of journaling. So I invite you to take a look at that and try it on. Try it on if you want to. Embrace contemplation, embrace the stillness. I will find a way to attach this. Or you can always visit my Instagram or the Mystic Bloom website to find this if you're interested in going on the journey. It is a beautiful, beautiful journey. So that is a little bit about contemplation. And if it's something that piques your interest, I just encourage you to learn more.